Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late to my own show, but no one's here anyway, so it doesn't matter. Hey.
You are unmuted and can speak with the host.
Okay. So, no one's here, so I'll just wait a few minutes. Let's see. Okay, someone showed up, so thank you for showing up, and I'm sorry I was late to this. So let's start off with the disclaimer. So the opinions expressed on this forum is not representative of PLN's official stance. RX, that's me. RX's opinion is based on information available at the time and not and is not PLN's official stance. Not everyone who calls in is a TI, and the gang stalkers have a tendency to pretend to be TIs and interfere with activities related to TIs. Okay. So what I did was this week I worked on getting um, um, I worked on getting TalkShoe up and also everything else because I was having difficulty last time. So if you want to call in, let me get you the call in number. Okay, so if you want to call in, it's 605-562-0444. And the show ID is 881-3724. What I noticed about this is that it's also available internationally, so I could take calls from out of the US. And if you are out of the US and you want to call in, just let me know. I think I could get you the number to call so that you don't have to pay international fees. And also, if you don't want to call in, you could always use the chat. So I have the chat running on YouTube, and TalkShoe also has its own chat that you could use also if you wanted to not call but just chat. All right. So with that said, let me start the topic. Okay. So the topic today is so what I'm gonna do. Okay. So the topic today is I'm what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna because I don't want to like have to talk for an hour. So I'm just gonna fill it out for maybe half an hour. If there's not a lot of participation or anything like that, I'm just gonna cut the show to like a half an hour or 45 minutes, depending. So okay, so the topic is where is it? Should TIs leave anything that can be ingested, food, drinks, meds, etc., unattended? So I wanted to start out with an overall. I kind of like to see what the general opinion is, but there's not that many people participating, so I guess there's no general. I can't do that. So let's see. So if you've most TIs do like a lot of research. They look on the internet and everything. And what they notice is that other people have had experiences where they feel as if their food, somebody did something to their food, or someone has been, was in their apartment and move their stuff around or and it's not like I think it was the Mansons who used to do that. They would go in and they would like move people's furniture around and stuff, but it could just be like something slight, like maybe you left the newspaper on the kitchen table and when you came back it's on the living room table and you're like whoa, and then you're like did I do that? Maybe I did. And you excuse it, but then it keeps happening. So maybe you left the pillow on the floor, and when you come back, it's on the bed or something like that. And it's just like little stuff where it's like, yeah, you could have done it in a hurry, but it just keeps happening to the point where you're like, I don't think I did that. And then if someone's in your house and obviously these people don't have the best intentions, what are they doing in your house? What are they doing while you're gone? Could they be messing with stuff? And could that stuff they are messing with be your food? And it kind of ties into last week's topic of whether or not TIs should carry guns. And I think I gave one scenario where the girl um, said she felt funny. And I think I said, what if they had put something in her food at home or while she was at work? So that's very important. If you have meds and all your meds are at home, I also mentioned last week they want to get you in psych ward so they could give you all these medications and you don't know what's in them. What if someone messed with your medication while you were gone? And these are like, I'm not. This is not a scare tactic of mine or anything. These are like concerns that TIs have expressed over the years, and they're common concerns, and they're valid concerns. If you see people who appear to want to hurt you or have malicious intentions towards you, and if people are coming into your house or maybe your car or whatever while you're gone, I think that it's a rational concern that maybe someone's tampering with something in your home, and I don't think it's insane to think that maybe someone's doing something to your food, you know. So I think this is a very valid concern, especially under the circumstances. And I wanted to see what the general consensus was. But I think the people who are participating, they just want to listen. Oh, so what happened with the call in? So once you call in, you could use the phone to call in, and it's going to prompt you for a show ID. And so someone else joined. I'm going to give the number again just in case they want to call. So the number to call in is 605-562-0444. And just so you know, like you're not calling into some um, strange place. It is a TalkShoe number. TalkShoe is just a web platform that allows people to podcast and take calls. So it's not like um, you could look it up. So that way, if it makes you feel better about calling in, you could just Google TalkShoe, TalkShoe, and figure it out for yourself. If you don't feel comfortable calling, don't. You could also use the live chat and just chat through there. Um, so yeah, so after you call in, it's going to ask you for a show ID, and the show ID is 881-3724. That's 881-3724. So if you feel like calling in, feel free to call in. I finally figured out how it works, and I actually will take your call today because I know how. And let's see. So yeah, so that's what the concern was. I wanted to hear what people had to say about the possibility that their meds or foods could be um, could be messed with. And if it has happened to them, what effects has it had? Did they get sick? So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I'll give it another minute and then I'll go on to the next scenario. For anyone who just joined, I said, because I don't want to talk for another hour. So if there's like not a lot of participation, I'm not pressuring you to participate. I'll probably cut it short to like a half hour, 45 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this first hour short, and then I'll come back for TI hour random. And I'm doing that because if someone didn't want to do the main topic and they wanted to do the random talk, I wanted to start that at the same time because what I was gonna do was I was gonna cut this short to maybe like 3:30, and then start TI hour random talk at 3:30 also. But then I was like, oh well, what if someone was just like, well, I don't want to listen to the main topic. I want to do the random talk. Then that wouldn't be fair because I wouldn't be there because I just cut it off. So I'm just gonna let's shorten this, and then I'll come back at 4 o'clock and see if anybody has anything to say. And if no one has anything to say on that, then I'll cut that short too. So no one's responding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the next section, which is oh, and and I feel like I need to put this out there because I mean, one of the things I said in the disclaimer is that sometimes the beasts want to interfere with things like this, which is like giving TIs a platform to talk and express their feelings in a way in a I would say a safer environment where someone understands what they're going through. And I mean, I'm not the only one who has a call in. There's plenty of other ones, and they're fine. And so I'm not trying to act like I'm the only one. No, but sometimes they have a tendency to interfere with that. And so I'm not hurt or discouraged that no one, there's not a lot of people listening, that there's not a lot of like call in and feedback. I'm not because like I said, I'm researching this, so I kind of expect. I can kind of expect things that would happen and, kind of know what's happening a little bit behind the scenes, and if I don't, I could find out in different ways. So it's not like this is discouraging because, someone, because there's not a big turnout. So if you are a beast and you think this is gonna affect me in any way, no, it's not. So that with that said, let's go on to the next section. So the next thing after is some examples. So that way it's not. Because, like I said, I think this is also good for people who are not TIs. And the reason why, or who are not familiar with the subject, and going back to last week, the reason why is because these people will use you. Anyone can be, anyone can become a TI for any reason, but anyone can also be used for any reason. So, like, you could be just like a random person walking down the street and you don't even know the TI. You have no clue who she or he is. But if they think that you're useful at that moment, they will use you. So I think it's good for the general audience to also watch this, even if you think like I'm completely out of my mind and the people who claim this are out of their minds. Just watch it and get informed. And you might walk away still thinking I'm out of my mind, or the people who believe this is happening are out of their mind. But at least you have that in your background so that if something happens to you, at least you can have an idea of what's going on. So, I mean, and just a quick example. So, let's say if I was at the grocery store and, let's say TI is at the grocery store and you're just random shopper there to get your food or supplies, whatever, and you're going to leave. All right. So, the beast, the TI is on the checkout line, and you just happen to be the person, in front or in back of the TI. Okay, so what? So if they feel at that moment that you can be of use to agitating the TI or whatever, they're going to use you. So somebody might come up to you and say, "Oh my gosh, I saw this lady, the girl in front of you. I saw her walking through the aisle. She was acting so strange." And you'll be like, "Oh, really?" And you're just like, "Yeah, whatever, small talk. Just listen to the person. I gotta go." Yeah, she was. She was like totally like doing blah 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 blah. And you're just like, "Well, I really don't care. I just want to check out and go," But you're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's strange. I don't know. Maybe she's having a bad day." And then next thing you know, the TI hears the whispering because what they usually do is they whisper loud enough for the TI to hear. So the TI hears this talk, and the TI might be agitated because they mess with you everywhere you go. So the TI might already be pissed off, and this person that just came up to you may have been like following TI through like 5 aisles and already had it out with the TI, or maybe they just like made the TI know for sure that, hey, I'm watching you and I'm there, and now I'm at the checkout counter behind you, and here's my friend. Oh, yeah. So now you, as the audience member, is now the friend. So what happens is the TI, because the TI doesn't know, she sees you with this person. She's gonna be like, or she or he's gonna see you with this person. It might be like, oh, they're together and they're trying to start crap with me. And depending on whatever is going on with the TI, they might decide to tell you off and the person off, and it's just because that person who came up to you was trying to kind of like be in back of the TI because they usually like to swarm the TI. They like one person in front of them and one person in back of them. So it's like they kind of like capsulate the TI. So you just happen to get there ahead of time. And so this person couldn't be in back of the TI, but they figure, hey, I have someone else to use right now. So now like the TI turns around and could be raging mad and is cursing you out. Okay. And so like you're like, what the heck? And you're like, lady, I wasn't talking to you, or guy, I wasn't talking to you. And then Tia's like, you're a perp just like the rest of them. And it gets crazy. And you're like, I don't know what's going on, but you're crazy. And the person standing next to you's like, see, I told you she was crazy. She's insane, isn't she? And then it's like just goes on and on and on. But so that's how you can be used, and you won't even know. And then back to, does the TI have a gun? Is the TI like violent? Is the T? And I mean, and I'm not saying is the TI violent, meaning that the TI is a violent person, but is the TI like so agitated that they can become violent at that point? And are you going to get punched in the face, or maybe is the person who walked up to you violent? What if that person wanted to start a fight with the TI? And usually, sometimes they do want to start physical altercations with the TIs to do the to get the TI in jail or prove that the TI is very violent. And then with you being there, that kind of helps their case. So even though you're not part of it as an audience member, you don't know anything about this, you don't know either of these people, you just came in for, milk and you just want to go home. Here you are in the middle of something. So I just wanted to use that as an example of how you, as a innocent person who doesn't know or believe or care about this, even as a person who thinks TIs are crazy and out of their mind, how you can be used. And that's why I think it's important for you to know this, because if a situation, because even after you watch the PLN videos and you do your internet research and of course read the newspaper articles that paint TIs as mentally ill, even after you watch this and you're like, I agree, I think they're a little bit off. I don't subscribe to that. And you go out and let's say this happens to you. Someone comes up to you. Oh, you see that girl over there? Oh my God, she just went off on me. Blah, blah, blah." Even though you don't believe in it, you're like, oh, okay, because you're still thinking about getting your milk and getting home. And then all of a sudden, as she keeps talking and talking, something seems a bit off about it. You're not a sitting duck like, "Oh, yeah, whatever. This is small talk. I'm out of here." No, you're more aware now. You're like, "Okay, well, I saw this show about these crazy people." That's how, and I'm not saying this to put TIs down, but that's how people usually refer to TIs right now, and I'm hoping that will change soon. I said, "Oh, wow, I watched that show yesterday," or I read this article the other day about, this gang stalking thing. And then you just listen to the person who just approached you. Oh yeah, she's this, she's that. And then guess what? The TI turns around and is about to curse both of you out. Or is like angry, or is about to burst into tears because the TI is tired. This has been happening all day. All she or he wants to do is go home, and she or he just wants us to stop. So the TI turns around and, let's say something starts. You as someone who knows or has some idea that this could be happening, not necessarily that you're like, oh yeah, that's the situation this is, or oh my gosh, they're true. Now I'm a believer and I'm going to advocate. No, but you as a person who sees that something like this could happen, could say, step back and say, oh, and the TI turns around, let's say the TI is mad and says, you people need to stop harassing me. You could say, oh, I'm sorry. I was just standing here, just trying to get online. She just started talking to me. I'm not sure what's going on between you two, but I'm not involved. Okay. I'm sorry. And then you can either walk away or you to the next aisle, or, you could just sit there. So that's what I mean by it's important for the audience to know what's going on, even if you don't believe it, even if you think it's crazy. It's just so you can be aware in case, the psychopaths do want to use you, and you could just remove yourself from that situation. One, for your own safety, because like I said, I don't know. TIs go through a lot every day, so you don't know if someone's at their breaking point, if that's that last straw moment. And then these psychopaths are insane, so you don't know if that's the day that they're going to choose to escalate the situation to violence, or even if they have a gun, because they're insane and they're serial killers. Pretty much this is almost like a serial killer network. It's a slow kill system. I know that sounds crazy and impossible, but it's what I've observed. So instead of you being in that situation unknowing, I'm not asking you to believe me or believe TIs. That's something that you have to decide on your own. But instead of you being in that situation unknowing, at least you could like step away from it, or, remove yourself from that situation, or just let it's not like I'm not telling you have to go hug the TI and say it's okay, or you're gonna have to, or you're gonna curse out this person who's trying to start stuff. Just like it's just for you to say, okay, something's happening here. I'm not sure what's happening, but this is what I'm going to do that's best for me at this point in time, you know? So that's why it's important for the audience to be informed, even if you don't believe, even if you think, this is crazy, just for you to be informed so that you're not sitting duck because they will use anyone for any reason. So that's an example. Um, so the other thing that I was going to go on to was, let's see, should I? All right, so there was an article. So I was just doing like random internet search and I found something. It was written by the targeted individuals in Europe and it's called Targeted Individuals Can Possibly Be Poisoned. So I'm just going to read you like a, a small paragraph. So it says some years ago, a TI organization did a survey on TIs and it revealed that around 18% found poisons in their system. Heavy metals and other heavy metals and other toxic substances create many of the symptoms that TIs have, such as digestion problems, blurred vision, heart palpitations, and attacks on the nervous system, etc. It wouldn't be a bad idea for TIs also to test for heavy metals and other poisons. Some of these poisons are observed by furniture, clothing, mattresses, chairs, and eventually a person's skin. So, with that said, and I'm not validating or invalidating this article. I don't know what the organization is. This is not like a piece of definite research fact. I don't know. This is just an article that, and it's not something that PLN or myself necessarily agree with or don't agree with. I don't know. I'm just reading it to kind of like facilitate the discussion. So, with that said, should TIs leave food and other things unattended? Um, so unattended meaning should you, and this is going to sound weird, should you leave your food at home? Where else you going to leave your food, right? you know, should you leave your meds at home? Well, you can't. Well, if you're sick, you'd feel funny carrying all your medicine with you. But this is valid because it's like if someone is messing with your food and slowly poisoning you, which is a claim that TIs have made, um, should you leave those things unattended? Should you leave them at home? And the main barrier to that is where else am I going to put my food? I can't take my big, my casserole dish and my milk and my ice cream with me wherever I go. I can't carry around with me. Where else am I going to leave my food? Okay. Um, that's a big dilemma. So, I mean, and like the reason why that upsets me, I have a feeling I'm going to talk for an hour and I didn't want to, but the reason why that upsets me is because it leaves you feeling helpless. It really does. That's like a helpless feeling. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to go to work and someone's going to go in my apartment and I know this. I'm not paranoid because I've seen stuff move. So the reason why TIs think people go in their apartments or homes or cars or offices while they're gone is because they want the TIs to know. So, and I'm not saying that all TIs are mentally sane people who like have no mental illness or anything. I don't know. Some people, some do, some don't. And you know why I don't know is because no one's doing research on this. They're just dismissing TIs as crazy, and no one's like trying to get to the bottom of this and saying why is it. And I think the New York Times put it at 10,000. Why is it that 10,000 people? And I strongly believe it's more than 10,000 people. Feel that this is happening to them, and this is like over the course of many years and generations. But so it feels helpless. I would feel, it feels helpless. I think someone's coming into my home, and the reason why I think so is because they've left things around or they've done things to make me know. And whenever I've been skeptical about it, like, no, I think I moved that. I think I took the pillow off the floor and put it on the chair this morning. Oh, I think I was the one, I don't know, who put the newspaper in a new spot. But every time I get to that point, something happens, and I've gotten to the point where they've done so many things where I'm like, no, I didn't do that. Someone else did it, And so now you're sitting there and you're suspicious. You're like, someone's into my apartment and stuff. And then you're worried because you're like, what if this person's poisoning me or doing something to my food? And what can you do about it? Well, you can't, like I said, you can't carry your refrigerator to work. So it's like, oh, so I guess I just have to sit here and get poisoned and hope for the best. that is like, you know, that feels powerless. You feel like you can't help yourself because you gotta eat. You have to eat, and it's just like it's just overwhelming and you just get so sad. Like I feel so sad, thinking about that and that someone has to go through that and has to just, deal with it. Like, okay, well, I can't do anything. I'm just gonna have to come home and hope, I can eat my food. And I'm not trying to say that TIs, I'm not trying to scare you into thinking that you are getting poisoned or you're not or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you feel this way, how can you go about, helping yourself through it? So here you are, you're sad. I'm sad now. Cause you can't, you think someone's in your apartment that might be messing with your stuff and you can't do nothing about it. You gotta eat. And so what do you do? So this is a point where people are supposed to call in and like talk, but no one's here. So, or nobody, and it's okay. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. No one's really participating right now, and that's fine. If you just want to watch, that's fine too. So I'll give out some solutions. So one TI's, what she does, and she says is expensive. She says, I can't go to BJ's or Sam's and stock up on food and stuff. I can't leave food behind. I can't make a big meal, that will last 5 days that I could just come home and warm. So she says she really takes her food with her. So she says that limits what I have to eat, what I can eat. So what she does is she buys a lot of canned foods, which she hates. She does hate canned foods. But she says, if it's the safest way for me to eat right now, because I can't stand the fact of coming home and feeling like and eating something that I feel has been tampered with. So she buys. So she says she buys stuff that's small enough for her to take with her, and then so she'll buy, I don't know, what's oatmeal, canned foods. I guess it's easier to say the stuff that you can't take with you. She doesn't buy any like the only time she buys stuff that has to be refrigerator is when she knows she's going to be home. She has the weekend off at work. She'll buy whatever she can because she's going to be home like the all weekend. So she could buy stuff that you have to leave in the refrigerator. So she was like, yeah, on days that I have that I'm home for several days, I feast. I make stuff that could last 3 days because I'm here. I know no one's messing with my food. But on days that I have to go to work, I have to go out, I have to go shopping, I buy stuff that I can take with me. And what I try to do is I try to keep she said, "I try to keep it, small," you know? And then what she started to do also was she would go to the grocery store to buy what she needed that day on the day of. So, because she didn't wanna carry, like, a whole bunch of stuff to work. So, let's say if it's Monday, so she'd go to the grocery store, buy the food that she needed for Monday, and it's with her. She could take a box of oatmeal to work and just eat it there, warm it up and eat it there. It could be fast. She could and then she could just have the grocery bag to carry home to make whatever she wants that night. So it was a pain in the butt because then she had to like go to the supermarket like 5 times a week, just to make sure that her food was safe and with her. But she was like, I ate in peace. Like she was like, I couldn't take the stress of not knowing if someone tampered with my food. So she was like, so even though and she said it was more expensive, she's like, it took a toll on my budget because I can't stock up and I can't buy big bulks that last me a few days. So if you do try to do that, I want you to know it is more expensive. And it's annoying because then you have to go to the grocery store and deal with that BS, because they're there with their foolishness. So it would require so if you are considering that, it would require more trips to the grocery store. It would require you carry like a bigger bag to work. Um, but not too big if it's not something there. You could leave it in your car, but I don't know how safe you feel about leaving stuff in your car. Um, if you need to buy like something big or take your food with you, one person, that's one thing you could also do is just buy food and leave it in your car. And then at least, and then park your car where you could always see it, you know? So at least then, that's one way to keep an eye on your foods and medication and stuff. The other thing I think another thing that you could try is cameras around your refrigerator areas. You could try that, but the only thing, like, I'm skeptical, like, that's the first thing I would run to is maybe, like, have cameras around my, kitchen and stuff so that while I'm at work, I could just see, what's going on and stuff, but they mess with that, you know? They have it, I think they could like shut off your camera or do some kind of like stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not telling you not to try it, but I want you to know that that's a possibility that they could mess with your camera system. So, I mean, if you did do that, you would have to do it with a camera system that is not connected to the internet because I think they go in through the internet. Um, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe if you buy a video camera that you could plug into your phone so you could see. So it would have to be something that's not connected to the internet or wireless. It would have to be something that has a direct connection to itself. I don't know what that is. You know, it's and to give you an example of what I'm talking about, it's like when you have a baby monitor, you could leave the baby monitor in the baby's room, and then you could just carry the other monitor to another room. So, well, now baby monitors are probably connected to the internet, but old time baby monitors, there's no internet connection. So it's just like, it's like a walkie talkie. It's connected to itself. So you could hear what's going on in the other room. So you would have to have a camera system that's just directly connected to that one feeding source. I'm not an engineer or make technical stuff. So I don't know what the correct term is. So that's one other thing that you could do to make sure that you are watching your food and your meds and everything like that. Um, and these are not things that you have to do. This is just to show you that you don't have to sit there helpless and, overwhelmed and stuff that, if anything, I hope that these examples will help you start to think of ways that you could feel better or, make things better for yourself so that you're not like, you don't feel helpless and overwhelmed and like, oh God, I have to eat this food and I don't know if someone mess with it, just ways to help yourself. So yeah, those are some things that TIs have done or could do to relieve some of the stress of the whole food situation, unattended and medicine and stuff. Let's see. And maybe like I know it's hard because if you go to work and stuff, it's hard to tell your boss or what's going on, and you're bringing all this stuff. It's like, and then even with like even if it is at work, you gotta like um be careful because sometimes TIs sometimes the beast will get jobs where you work. So it's like even then you got to watch it a little bit more, but at least it's at a close range. So if you were going, so those are things that you could do, and if you can't do any of those things, I hope it will help you to think of things that you can do, help you figure out your own solution. All right, so that's done. So yeah, so that's an article that was read. Let's see. And so the next thing to talk about is, um, so let's see. So the other thing that's been going on, I think almost every TI is like one of the first videos that you see. Is the video, I think it's some news, it's like Channel 9 News or something, and it has, 2 people on there. There's a guy, and he talks about how, he was gang stalked to the tennis court and people jump on his roof, and then there's the girl with the motorcycle, and I think she talked to one of the doctors, Dr. Hall or somebody. I know he's one of the big names, when they're researching this, like, he does books or stuff. I think his name is Dr. Hall, I'm not sure. So yeah, so she said that how she met him and went to his house or something, and he said, "Now you're gonna get targeted." At first that sounded really funny to me. I was like, "Oh, so he must be like a perv," but now I realize that that goes back to that POI situation where she was seen with him and she became a POI. At least I think that might have been, but it seemed like they went after her hard. Um, and POI is person of interest. So there's TIs who are they're coming after you. They're doing all kinds of crap. And then there's POIs, persons of interest. So if you become a researcher, you might become a person of interest. Your family members, your friends, associates, colleagues, and stuff might become persons of interest. And those are people who they see, who they see the TI with, and they just want to keep an eye on you to make sure that you're not like a hazard to their system, and then they'll decide whether or not they're going to turn you into a they're going to turn you, whether or not they're going to do the whole campaign on you, or if you're just going to be scared a little bit, or they're just going to watch you, or whatever. So she might have been a POI, but like I said, they did go after her because she, in the news article, maybe I should look it up. In the news thing, she said that, someone came into her house and raped her, and they were like, "Well, how do you know?" She's like, "A woman knows." And she said what they did was, like, they drugged her so that she wouldn't know. I'm trying to look up to see so that you can watch it. Um, so if someone came in and thinks they drugged her that night and then they came back and raped her, but she will have no recollection of it because of whatever they drugged her with, just helped her, not helped her, but made her forget what was going on. And I'm sorry, I see the picture of the YouTube things. I look terrible, but it doesn't matter. I'm not here, sometimes I look terrible. Like I know during the going subliminal, people are like scared because I look like they say I look like I'm possessed. But it's because the microphone's like really big and I'm holding my head a certain way. So it looks scary and I don't mean to do that on purpose, but when I'm going subliminal, I have to be positioned a certain way to get the audio right. So that's why. Let's see. And I'm more interested in getting you the information you need than how I look. Uh, so let me see. I don't know. I'm trying to find. So anyway, in it.
Hundreds of people in the valley say they are hearing voices in their heads.
Okay, that's not the one. I don't know if you hear that, but I think everyone knows which one I'm talking about. There's a guy and a girl in there, and the girl, I think she has like long black hair, and she just talks about I should have brought it up since I was going to mention it. And she just talks about how she's getting stalked and she had to move. She actually moved. I think she's like Cindy or Verbeth or something like that is moving. I think that's how they start. Cindy Verbeth is moving. She says whatever. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So and I think the one I just played too, she claims to be, let me see. I don't know if you guys can hear this.
Or other methods.
Hold on.
Several viewers asked us to investigate what they call electronic harassment.
Hold on.
Angela Monroe joins us now with what she's discovered. Angela.
This is the one about the guys
synthetic telepathy, voice
who are talking about a
technology.
movie.
Chances are you haven't heard of these terms.
So that's not
but
the
after
one.
searching the
Let me
internet,
see.
I found dozens of websites.
Or maybe you sensed it, that feeling.
Okay, I think this is it. I think it's on Ken 5 News.
Stalking on the books, making it a felony.
What if police don't recognize it? And what if it's a complete stranger who's bothering you? Tonight, Joe Conger and the I-Team investigates.
Oh yeah, this is her. So I'm going to just let you, I don't know if you could hear it.
Is moving. Her home, she says, has become a house of horrors.
I feel that I've lost my mind. I've lost my life.
Incident reports from law enforcement tell the tale. Numerous break-ins at the address. Vandalism to her car, her motorcycle, her computer. Verbeth believes she's being targeted.
Everything. They just went through everything.
But sheriff's detectives had little to go on because the vandals, though often destructive, stole nothing. Even from her portable safe, drilled into and torn apart, the contents, the jewelry.
I hope you can hear this.
Verbeth says her troubles didn't start until she met these two men. One would become her ex-boyfriend. The other was his partner in San Antonio Pain Clinic, Dr. John Hall.
Oh yeah, his name was Dr. Hall.
We went to his house on 4th of July, and he told me that because I was already there in his house, I would be the next victim that I was going to be stopped.
Verbeth found the doctor's prophecy to be correct. She suffered months of oddness.
Coming in through the front door.
Sorry, I should have made a clip for this.
Lights left on, doors open, furniture moved, her clothes dried, disassembled. Her friends say they noticed the strange happenings. They tell the I-Team they even witnessed a gas oven left turned on.
As soon as you walk in the house, you'd smell gas.
I'm trying to get to the point where
from gas. So immediately turned it off.
she said they poisoned and raped her.
Doors, but I mean, that thing doesn't just turn on by itself. They've been running for a good length of time.
Or the time Verbeth and a friend say they were stalked at a mall.
I saw him following us to several stores, and I would see the man close to us, looking at us.
The girls had the presence of mind to snap a photo with their phone. Verbeth says all these happenings culminated in an assault. The 39-year-old believes someone drugged the food in her home and returned later to rape her.
I know something happened to me because A woman knows.
She filed a report and was briefly hospitalized with signs of sexual assault. Dr. Hall says what Verbeff describes is known as gang stalking. Indeed, he writes about it in his book, A New Breed, Satellite Terrorism.
All right. So I didn't. Okay. So what I was watching, and I'm hoping that you guys were able to hear it. It's called Gang Stalking and Electronic Harassment in National TV. Let me see if I could. I forgot I have this chat capability. Let me put it there. So that's what I was watching. So I didn't realize that she actually went and got checked out, and she actually had signs of sexual assault. So that's what I was watching. So that's another reason of concern. Are they going to drug you and come back later and rape you? You know, and I guess what she did was she carried enough information so that so that she didn't come off as crazy. So I mean, the good, sometimes I know those little snapshots, those little videos that you keep as record or to document, what's happening to you. They seem like they're really useless, but they could come together. And what I've noticed, like going through like what TIs do, and the little snapshots is like, it's not that you have to always see it as someone who doesn't believe you and someone who's going to think you're crazy. So that's what you have to think of. Like, okay, I know the situation. Okay, I know what you're talking about. So if you show me like a succession of 3 red cars coming after you, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. But if I was like totally not in the know and you showed me a succession of 3 cars, I'd be like, so it's like what you need to do. Okay. And I'm gonna actually do a video on how to and some of the stuff that's out there is great. Like it shows to the point, but I just want to I just want to help you so that you could document, you could get like better evidence and document better. So that way, even when the bees want to write, oh yeah, there's 3 cars. So what? You're crazy, whatever, you could be like, oh yeah, there were 3 cars. But if you notice in the video before, I showed you like a guy in red standing at the corner. And then when I was walking down the street, there was another guy in red, walking his dog. And then there was a girl that ran across the street and she had on red shoes. And then you saw the succession of 3 cars. So now what you got to say? Am I crazy? Or do you see something happening here? And maybe you don't believe that, it's gang stalking, but you know that that's kind of weird, isn't it? So it's just like how to collect better evidence. And a lot of things that I know happen is that, you're like, okay, so you see the guy standing at the corner in red. You're like, oh God, perp, keep it moving. And you don't take out your video. Then you see the guy with the red, with the dogs, and you're like, oh my God, why don't they get a life? And then you see the girl running. You're like, oh, dummy. And then when you see the red cars, that's when your camera comes out. So it's like you miss all of that because it's just like you're tired, you don't want to do this, and you've seen it all before because it's the same thing over and over again. It's like sometimes like when I observe this stuff, I'm like, don't they get bored? It's like they just do the same thing over and over. It's so repetitive and it's so stupid. But whatever. There's like more to this that needs to be uncovered. So anyway, so back to so unfortunately, so now I see. So she got drugged. They came back, and she went to the hospital, and they did find signs of sexual assault on her. And she can't remember. She just knows something happened to her. But she just couldn't remember what happened. And I hope, like, if you do feel like you've been sexually assaulted and you don't remember, go to the hospital. But then again, I know a lot of complaints was. I know there's another person whose video I watched. I think her name was like Mac Cooley or something like that. And the same thing happened to her, and she went to the hospital, and they either denied her the rape kit or they did something. So you just got to make sure that you could document it. And if you do go to the hospital, they try to deny you or whatever. And guys, I said this last week, and this is from what I've heard in the subliminal system. I don't really have any hard evidence on it, but like I said, this is what I've heard in the subliminal system, that that guys who claim to be straight will try to sexually assault another guy as a TI. So even though I'm talking about rape, I know a lot of times when you talk about rape, it's all about women, but guys can get raped too by other guys. And it's not necessarily homosexuals and all that stuff. Like I said, some of these guys claim to be straight, but they will do that to another guy. I mean, I know my thing is, if you have sex with a guy, you are homosexual, but these guys think they're straight. And I'm not trying to say all homosexual guys do this. Not at all. Not at all. But I just wanted to let you know that some of these guys think they're straight, but they will sexually assault another guy. And their reasoning is that they're doing it to humiliate the other guy or, make you feel bad, but they're just disgusting. Like I said, that's a whole topic of what I have to say about these people. So, so even though I'm talking about rape, guys, be careful out there. Don't think you're just going out with another guy or a bunch of guys and, whatever. And I'm not trying to say that they will do it. I mean, they're probably more likely to beat you up, you know, but just to make sure, I would say don't even go out with these guys, like, to hang out as guys and stuff, but just be careful because you're not immune to it either. And it's really hard for a guy because it's like, like as a female, that stuff is so out there that you could go out. And even for females, it's hard for them to talk about, rape and all that stuff. But it's even harder for a guy to say that he was raped by a guy. So like try to avoid that situation and try to just take care of yourself, make sure you're fine and make sure, you can protect yourself no matter what happens, whether, like that. So try to avoid that situation. And I think the reason why I keep saying that, because I think that's very important, because that's one of those things, because these people sneak up on you. They like sneak attacks, they like sucker punches, they like to sneak up on you. And I knew I was going to talk the whole hour. So just be careful and protect yourself. And I just want guys to be on the lookout. So that's the thing also. So that's a news story about things that could happen when they drug you. I hope you heard it. If you didn't hear it, it's in the talk thing in the chat. And then the other thing that I want to talk about, in which I'll probably like wrap up. Okay, so there's just two more things which I have time to talk about. So actually, there's another thing I want to talk about. So let's do this. So that goes back to like your underwear and your toothpaste, because those are things you put in your mouth too. So if someone's going to deliver a toxin, maybe the toothpaste is, and the underwear, because it's like in a enclosed area near a place that's very absorbent. So, are they doing stuff to your underwear or toothpaste? There's a TI who will not leave her underwear or her toothpaste at home. No, I mean, she's like, it sucks because I can't buy like 10 pairs of underwear, so I have to like just keep a few pair and I keep it with me so that they don't mess with it. And I know, and it's like all this sounds so paranoid and so like, like, oh my gosh. But it's like I said, it's what people feel like they have to do. And the reason why she feels like she had to do that is because they do put stuff on your clothes. Electronic harassment, which is still needs to be proved and it still sounds crazy, but they might use EHPs, electronic harassment particles. And that term is very general because at this time, I don't know what they're using. I know they're using something. I just don't know what it is. So I call it particles. And the reason why I brought that up is like, what if those particles could be put on places that touch sensitive areas of your body that could absorb them? So that's why the underwear thing is, even though it sounds crazy, it is very relevant because, if they put stuff on that and then you're wearing your underwear, it's enclosed, it's moist and stuff, or it's just an enclosed place and it could get really into your skin at that point. It's very close contact to your skin for long periods of time. So that's why the underwear situation is very valid. And then the toothpaste situation is self-explanatory. You put it in your mouth, you're rubbing it right into your teeth. And, sometimes you swallow a little bit of toothpaste, so she will not leave her toothpaste and toothbrush around or even mouthwash. And she will carry she has a few pair of, she's like, I feel stupid, but it just helps me feel better and I don't have to worry about it. So that's one thing that you should consider too. It's not just about food. It's stuff that's close contact to your skin. Should you leave Band-Aids around? Because that's something that you wrap around your skin also is close contact to your skin for long periods of time, which might allow some absorbency. So those are other things. And it sounds crazy, but I hope that I've explained why it isn't crazy. So that's one thing. And another thing is that it may not be just to poison you, but it could be. Oh, okay. I have 10 minutes. I'm wondering why the live timer says more time than the clock, but I forgot I started late. All right. So So it might not be to poison you, it might just be to give you a hard time. And I'll give you an example. So there was a TI who was on a tight budget because they were stopping her from getting a job, and she had to take like jobs that were like, yeah, they were just like really messing with her finances and stuff. She had a hard time finding jobs, the typical TI scenario. So she had to live. So for her to like make rent every month and just do what she needs to do, she had to live off of a $10 a week food budget. That's insane. It's like, how do you do that? But she did it. So she would buy milk and everything was fine for a few weeks, and then somehow they found out that she was on such a tight budget. I think she had to go and ask for help, because I think she went into arrears or something. She was behind like 1 month's rent, and she needs to go. And I want to say this. She was behind on rent, and she had to go to an agency that helped people with arrears. And this is why, like, I like talking about Pale Pass. Pale Pass are the TIs. Pale Pass are the beasts who claim to be so nice. They're enraged. I can't believe you're going through this. Of course I see what's happening. Or no, I don't see. I see what's happening. And I'm not sure, but I do want to help you. And they're beasts because there will be that time, okay, where they're gonna do the cough. They're gonna wear the red. They're gonna let you know that they're beasts also. But guess what? They're gonna still put on that mask. It's like they're just like messing with you. Like, oh yeah, I'm so nice to you, and I've done all this stuff for you, so you can't say anything. And then they take off the mask because the psychopathic mind works that way. They like trapping people, and they like the fact that you can't find them out. Because if you say anything, they did this for you, they helped you do that, they went through this for you, they jumped through hurdles for you. So now they could take off their mask and you can't say anything because you're like, oh, because as soon as you're like, well, this person is a perv, how dare you? I did all this for you and I helped you and da 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 da. And you come out and you say, I'm a perp, and then everyone believes them because they did that for you. So the pale paths are, to me, are just as dangerous as the berserk path. The berserk paths, and all these terms that I'm using, they're in the PLN video. So you can watch the videos. I think the video "A Killer in the Woods" goes through what a pale path is and what a berserk path is. So berserk path is the one who doesn't care. It's the beast that's out there in the red. And in case you didn't know, he's riding a bike. And in case you didn't see the red bike, okay, he's gonna cough. This is like street theater. This is a street theater guy, straight through and through. He wants you to know that he's a perp. He's in this, and he's coming after you. He's even gonna come up to you and say something or do something. So those are the berserk paths, like in your face. I don't care if I don't care if there's a police car down, I'm gonna whistle, and they're just crazy. Okay. So the berserk path and the pale path are complete opposites. So the pale path, likes to surprise you. They like having that nice front. And then all of a sudden, when you're at the last straw moment and you go to them for help and they cough, and in case you're like, no, but this person's helped me, they'll pull out the red, whatever. And in case, it's like they like that. So be careful of the pale pass. Okay. Don't just be careful of them. And then I just got so into describing it's really interesting doing this research because you see so many types of psychopaths. I mean, before this, my idea of a psychopath was someone in jail who killed like 10 million people. It doesn't give a damn, but now that you're seeing, and I mean, a very good book, which I say, because I think one of the things, as a TI, most of TIs grew up in a human society where people are a certain way, you're raised a certain way, society is a certain way. But when you come to the situation, you're thrown off guard because you're still kind of operating in the human society, but you need to realize that you've been pushed into like a psychopathic bubble, and you are surrounded by psychopaths, and psychopaths are so different from like your normal human being. And one of the books that can really help you is, I think it's called The Psychopath Next Door. Awesome book. When I first started, because I've never seen a psychopath without the mask on. I've seen like people who are like a little off, freak me out. Something's wrong with that person, but I can't put my hand quite on it, And when I read that book, it just opened up the whole world of psychopath. And I wouldn't say luckily, but since since I had access to observing a lot of psychopaths, I got like a better view of like what she was saying in the book. 'cause she is so right, you know? She talks about how when most people think of psychopaths, they think about the psychopaths in jail who committed the crime, who killed someone, who robbed, who, stole money from the company. Those are white collar psychopaths and, did all these horrible things, and of course they're a psychopath, they did that. But she talks about the psychopath next door that people don't know about, and that's a lot. And that's what most TIs are dealing with, the psychopath next door, the ones who aren't in jail, the ones who get by, the ones who know who, like, that mask is sealed on tight and won't come off until they say so, So just be careful you know, with that. And I have I forgot. I went off on a tangent. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, that's why. So she went to this organization that's supposed to help people with arrears. So she went to them and they collected all her information. And that's what happened. She met a pal path. The lady was so nice. But what happened was, so her case had gone to eviction court. And she told the lady that. So they agreed to pay because they had to. This was what they were getting government money for. So what they did, they were hoping that the landlord would be like really, really hard on the girl. So what they did was they kept delaying the payment. So they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna pay." But a week would come by. So she was like, "We're gonna pay next week." So she would go tell the landlord that they're gonna pay next week, and they wouldn't pay next week. They were like, "Oh, there was problems. We're gonna pay in 2 weeks." So she would go and 2 weeks, no, oh yeah, there was another problem. Could you give us this? We're gonna pay in 3 weeks. So what they were doing is they were hoping that if they delay it, the landlord would kick in and say, "No, I'm not dealing with this. Get out of my house." Or the judge would say no. But for her, fortunately, it worked out because they had promised to pay. And in court, they said that they were going to pay their arrears. So now they were obligated. Thank goodness that the landlord and the eviction court was understanding of that. And so, they finally had to pay when they realized it wasn't going to work. And I'm not saying that to like demonize the organization, but the person who was handling her case let her know that she was a beast. She was a pale path and she did everything. And that's when that mask came off. When she was like, "We're going to pay next week." Next week didn't come. And so she put on the mask came off, whatever. She coughed, made the face, wore red. "Oh, we're going to pay in another week." Okay. And then she comes back. And so the pale path again, the mask came off because guess what? I'm going to screw you over. You thought I was nice and I got all the information, everything I needed. And it didn't work out the way the pale path wanted. So it worked out in favor for her. But anyway, so that's how she thinks they found out because she had to go through getting help with arrears. So she got her arrears paid, but in the process of the whole arrears interview, they were like, "Well, what's your food budget?" Because they made her break down her budget. "What's your food budget?" And her food budget was $10. So after that, she started noticing that her milk would go bad. So she was like, "Okay." And so she was like, "Okay, well, it's nothing. Maybe I just bought, because sometimes you just grab it quickly." So she was like, "Okay, that's nothing." So she started noticing that next week her milk went bad again. And she was like, "Okay, I'm going to start looking at the date." And then it kept happening more and more. And then she's like, "Okay, now," she like made note of the date. And then she started noticing that the milk started going bad before the expiration date. And she's like, "What the heck? How is my milk going bad before the expiration date?" I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it. But I think she went to several stores and this kept happening. So how could that happen across several stores that she would just buy milk and it would go bad before the expiration date? So that's when she was like, "Oh my God, they're doing something to my food." And that's, I think that's a very good example of why TIs think people are messing with their food. So it's not like, TIs like, "Oh my gosh, people are following me. Someone's messing with my food." Because if they're following me, they must be messing with my food, which, I don't know, whatever. That's a very loose association, but more but TIs, and this is what I'm talking about when I say that they do things to let you know that they were in your apartment. Yeah, we're messing with you. Okay, and you better pay attention. And then what I notice in a lot of these situations is that they want you to know, and that goes back to the psychopath. See, the thing is, like, people just and I was the same way. People don't understand psychopaths, and the reason why is because the psychopaths wear a human mask, and so a lot of things that psychopaths do and think and say, like they mess with the system. A psychopath is a predator. A psychopath preys on other people. These people these beasts are extreme psychopaths. They'll prey on everything living. PLN has a video that talks about dead animals. They will kill animals. They will kill they will kill insects. I mean, oh my God. Anyway, that's a whole different video. Like these people will like kill plants. They will kill anything. Okay. These are extreme psychopaths. I don't know what problem they have with life, but I guess their life is so crappy that I don't know. They're fascinated with death. They like causing death. They like causing pain and humiliation. But I went off on a tangent and the hour's almost up. So actually my hour is up. So let me finish with this. So I'm sorry, I keep going off a tangent. Like I can't wait till like there's full exposure and people know what's going on so that TIs, POIs, and other people who know about this could talk openly about it because it's just like, whoa, it's mind blowing, mind blowing. So like that's one reason why I can't wait for exposure to it because like, wow. And then from a scientific standpoint, it's like, I think it's like the discovery of the new century, you know, but whatever. So yeah, so she didn't, so in that case, what happened was that, they knew that she didn't have money to buy extra milk. She couldn't spend more than $10 a week on money because she had to pay her rent, her light bill, and everything like that. And what they also knew is that she used the milk to cook her breakfast. So without the milk, she couldn't have breakfast because of what she cooked and stuff. And I think that was like the cheapest way she could make breakfast or something. So they did that, not to poison her, but just so she could, that's so cruel, just so she could starve. So she had to go to work, like, not eating breakfast because she didn't have the milk to make the breakfast that she made, and she had to, like, she had to go through the stress of figuring out how she was gonna eat and what can she buy to replace it that was cheap enough and fitted her budget. So it's just, like, it's ridiculous. But it's like so it's like sometimes it's not to poison you. Sometimes it's just to be so freaking cruel and stupid. But my hour is up. I said I wasn't going to talk for the whole hour and I talked for the whole hour, but I'll guarantee you I'm not going to talk for the whole hour during random talk because there's no topic for that. So I'm going to shut this off and thank you for watching. I hope one day you don't have to, but I hope one day someone will, participate. So I'm not talking the whole time. And I hope this helps. So I'm not telling you that someone's going into your house and poisoning you. I'm not trying to make anybody any more paranoid, and I'm not trying to instigate and drag the audience into this. I'm just saying that if you feel that way, because a lot of TIs have expressed that they felt that way, I just wanted to open up that forum. Is this how you feel? What are some of the ways that you feel? What are some of the ways that you can help yourself through this situation or circumstance? Maybe give a few examples if those don't fit into your life or whatever is possible. Is there something that you could take from that you could use to figure out a way that works for you? So that was the whole point of it, not to drive you into paranoia or like get you all worked up that someone's poisoning you or like putting stuff in your underwear or medication or toothpaste or whatever. Just that TIs have complained about that. So I want you to be aware, if you notice anything funny going on. And I just want to give you some ideas of what you could do based on what other TIs have done. And I think that's it. So yeah, so I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to give you enough information to make the decision that's best for you. All right, thank you for watching. And the topic for next week will be, and I haven't decided the date yet. When I decide the date, I'll post it. Let's see, the topic for next week is TIs in the workplace, and that includes topics of stress in the workplace, industries and places that TIs can find work, and all that stuff. So that's a very broad topic. So if you want, you can. If you don't want to be a guest on the show, you could just email me your story. I'll read it. I'll read it. I'll read it during the live stream. If you don't want to have your name included, I won't put your name included. I'll just say TI like I have been saying. So yeah, so that's it. And I think that's it. Yeah, and remember that I could have a international line for people in other countries. Just let me know. Either you can send me an email, or when the live stream starts, you could just do a live stream. Let me know what country you're in. I could give you the number and the ID and stuff, so that way you could call and get charged local rates. And this is being done through TalkShoe. That's TalkShoe. And I want to give you that so that way, I would feel uneasy calling into something and I don't know what it is. So you could go and look into it and see if it's something that you would feel comfortable calling into to talk about it. You don't have to say your name. You could just talk anonymously if you want. And I think that's it. So thank you for watching. I hope that helped. And goodbye. I'm going to be back on in a few minutes to see if anybody wants to talk. If nobody wants to talk, I'm going to cut it short. Thanks again. Bye.